All right, so today we're doing a deep dive on this really interesting idea, the idea of like, what is God's word, right?
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
We're going to be looking at this through an episode from the Practicing Truth podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's based on this whole philosophy, the philosophy of the divine law. And you can learn more about all that at beyondtherituals.com. But the thing that I thought was so interesting about this is like, when you think about God's word,
Yeah.
you kind of think like,
The Bible or?
yeah, some specific book, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this episode is taking a way broader view,
Right.
which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so what they're suggesting in this Practicing Truth podcast is that God's word,
okay.
it's not limited to a single religion or even, a book or a specific philosophy or anything like that. They're actually saying that it's kind of woven into, like, creation itself.
Interesting.
And that it's accessible to anyone. So that's kind of the core concept that they're playing with here.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a different way to think about it because, like, normally we tend to put it in this, like, very specific box, right?
Exactly. Very, very
institutionalized, I guess.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But they're saying it's everywhere.
Right.
And they use these like really cool examples to try to like.
They use a lot of imagery in the episode.
Yeah.
Kind of like, imagine the howl of the mightiest wind,
Yeah.
like the serene calm of the most profound silence. Have you ever felt that kind of awe?
Yeah.
Like there's something bigger than you.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you experience those things.
For sure. Like even just like I remember one time I was out in the desert.
Yeah.
And it was just like silence.
Yeah.
Like just there was nothing.
It's almost deafening, right?
Yeah.
It's deafening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like awe-inspiring, like you were saying.
Yeah, and that's what they're trying to get at. They're saying that feeling, that sense of connection to something larger than yourself,
right?
That's what they consider an encounter with, like God's word, essentially.
Oh, interesting.
So it doesn't have to be, spoken word or written word.
Right.
It can be through nature.
Wow.
Emotions, even silence, as we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
All of that can be an expression of this like universal presence.
Huh. So they're basically like
right.
redefining what we think of as God's words, right?
Exactly.
And they have this one line that I thought was so just like so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, let no one convince you that God's word belongs to a chosen few.
Right.
It does not.
Yeah.
It belongs to us all.
Mm.
And like, it really is this idea of
very inclusive.
Super inclusive. Yeah.
And it kind of like throws into question, I guess, like those traditional views of,
Totally.
like divine revelation. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just coming down from on high to a select few.
Yeah.
It's like
it's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
And you can access it
right
in a bunch of different ways.
Exactly. And it's accessible at any time. Right. So they're suggesting that, like, an atheist who's standing in awe of a starry night sky.
Right.
Could be experiencing God's word in that moment.
Oh.
Just as much as, a pious person who's deep in prayer.
Oh, wow. So it's not tied to your belief system.
It transcends like religious boundaries and belief systems.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So basically what we're getting from this is like God's word, however we define that, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about, the words in a specific text.
Right. Exactly. It's much broader.
Yeah.
It's something that we can all like potentially tap into through our experiences, our connection to the world around us, our feelings, nature, like all of that. It's kind of like everywhere, which I think is kind of the main point, the main takeaway.
Yeah, it's a really...
and that raises some interesting questions too, right?
It does. What are some questions that it raises for you?
Well, like, okay, if God's word is everywhere, right? If it can be found, in that howling wind or a moment of quiet reflection.
Yeah.
Like, how does that change our perspective on everything? Like, how do we begin to, like, see and interpret those messages, in our daily lives? Like, what if we've been missing, like, a ton of, important stuff because we've been so focused on, like, the words on a page?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it kind of opens up this whole...
perspective.
Yeah, this whole other way of interacting with the world.
Yeah. That's really cool. Okay, so that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is a lot to think about, yeah. And I really like that emphasis on, like, how it's for everyone, It's not just for, like, a certain group of people.
Exactly.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us on this deep dive
Of course.
into God's Word as explored by practicing truth through the philosophy of the divine law. And remember, you can learn more about that philosophy at beyondtherituals.com.
Right.
But we'd love to hear from you. Like, what do you think about this idea?
Yeah, let us know. Hit us up in the comments.
Yeah, hit us up in the comments. Let us know.
Yeah.
If God's Word is really everywhere, how does that change how you view the world?
Yeah, what are you noticing differently?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.